Good evening and welcome to a walk down memory lane. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and joining me is co-host Dennis Brown. We have two special guests with us this evening in Mr. Randy Horton and Robert Hines. We are going to be talking about the life of the late Campbell Simons. Gentlemen, thank you very much for taking this time out. We're hoping that Kenny Can Sr. will join us relatively soon to also reminisce about Campbell Simons. But before I get into anything, gentlemen, I had the opportunity in 2014 to be in Scotland at the Commonwealth Games. And of course, that is where Clarence Parfitt now resides. And we had the opportunity of talking with Mr. Parfitt on the street side. It was Campbell and himself talking about cup match.
By this time, she was still battling. Still battling.
The talk is so trash.
Oh, yeah.
The trash starts and it goes on the park, but it's not nasty stuff. We just talk a lot of nonsense to each other. You wouldn't think we're playing a big match.
That's right.
Because we're talking crap. Especially that day when I nicked Joe Bailey.
Oh, don't even talk about that.
He says, "Did I hit it?" I said, "No, I straight through the middle of the bat." I was walking.
He was walking. Scott said, "Hey, that was what you doing." I said, "Look at his back." He turned around. Oh, excuse me. He turned around and came back. Oh, Lord, I never forget that. Oh, they put on 102 after that. I said, "Look at this." They broke the 10 wicket record.
But we played hard.
Yeah, but it was hard. Yeah, it was hard.
And we had a laugh about it. This sucker was sitting behind me, says, "Bet you could hit it for 6." I said, "See that tent umbrella? Watch this one's going there." And he said, "Yeah, I said, it wasn't quite there." Randy, I had my mate Randy all shook up. Randy, I said, "Come on, Shred." The shied one and missed it, the Broadway and 8. And it didn't bug me, because it was nowhere near me. And frustration got to him quicker than it got to us. Because
he wasn't listening to nobody.
No, he made the biggest thing. He didn't both shirt.
So what does cup match from Somerset, from St. George, what does cup match mean to you guys, especially when you were playing and now it's going on, this is the 114th?
It was a battle. When we played, when you walked in the park, it was 22 of the best cricketers in Bermuda. And now, it's not that. It's gone. That's why you lost the crowds. That's why people don't go. People take trips now rather than go cup match. Ex-players don't go cup match because they can't be bothered. Because one, the guys are rude.
Discipline.
No discipline. And if you're not got discipline, you're lost. I mean, I watched young Treddy. He was out here with me. I told him about himself out here.
You tried to correct him on here?
Yeah. Oh, he was getting. I said, "Hey, what are you doing? I don't pull that nonsense here. This is cricket. You play hard, and then you accept the decision. One, but umpire give you up. Umpire is human." I said, "Do you walk when you hit it?" "No." "So don't complain when he gives you up."
That's right.
Now, these are the things. Discipline means the biggest part. What I see reading the papers, and there's too much favoritism going on right now in the selection of sports. The clubs have got too much to say. You can't do that. You need a coach now to walk in and say, "I'm in charge. Get out of my way. I'll pick the people I want to work with me. Now, my way or it's the highway." And I tell them, you don't want to train, you don't play. Simple A, B, C. When we played, we paid our own way everywhere we went. These guys now got their hands up. $11 million going down the drain.
And no improvement.
And it's no improvement. Only thing the players are crying, we want this. We didn't get anything. We had families to support. But we were able to work for it, help out, do things that these guys would never do today. And we had to train. And if you were rude in those days, you didn't make it.
Well, that's another big problem I find with clubs themselves. The players do a lot of undisciplined things, and they do not deal with it. They leave it all to the cricket board to deal with, and it shouldn't be that way.
No,
The clubs should suspend them.
Deal with it first.
That's right.
And then you don't have that problem.
Well, gentlemen, that was back in 2014. Dennis, let me get to you first.
Well,
How much of that is true today?
and it's ironic that I heard this today because I was talking to an umpire this morning at the college, and he was telling me about the behavior of a lot of what happens in cricket. And one of the things I said is just like what Mr. Parker said. It starts from the clubs. I'm a type of coach. If my players act up, I'm gonna suspend you myself. I'm not waiting for the president to talk about. And I learned that from the gentleman who's on this show tonight. Mr. Horton was never afraid to deal with players. I remember him, putting some boys in me for choosing to go against him first, and we end up being 2-0 against St. George's, But at the end of the day, like Mr. Parker said, the coach has to come in and let the players know who is in charge. And there's too many players nowadays who are dictating to the coaches as to what happens. And I learned a lot of that from Mr. Wood. A lot of it.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, again, thank you very much for joining us. And we're going to be talking about the late Campbell Simons. But let me start with you, Mr. Horton. What was your first interaction with Campbell in either sport?
Well, Campbell Fred, of course, he grew up in Somerset and in Bob's Valley. I lived in Cooksville, Bob's Valley area, and so we ran into each other as as youngsters, and so we played out in the yard. We used to play out in the yard. You play football or cricket in the yard. So it goes. Campbell goes way back. In terms of his cricket and football, and when it comes to football, of course, Campbell. I think I told the guy from the Royal Gazette, Lawrence Strutt, about the fact that Campbell in an AFA Cup final, and Campbell scored a goal that put West End Rovers 3-2 up on PHC, and he flopped out. He was so excited. He flopped out. But it was an absolutely amazing goal that he scored down at Devonshire Recreation Club. I was young then. I was like just finishing Berkeley. And he had, I would think, not long ago left Tech. So we were both young, but he was in the West End Rovers team. And of course, Somerset weren't winning anything those days, and so when we went 3-2 up, I mean the place just went crazy. Somerset people went crazy, so much so that it knocked the wind out of Campbell. Yeah, and he felt it, but he came back. In the end, we lost the game 4-3 to PHC. PHC, I think it was Nibbs, I believe, who scored the winning goal for PHC, who in those days were the champions of the road before the Trojans came along.
And Mr. Horton, just on that, just for Earl builds on. I was reading an article. I believe I read that same article whereby you named him Stanley after Stanley Matthews.
Right. That's right. I called him Stanley because I was so I was excited by the way he used to play football, and then it was after that, he scored that goal that time, and then I started calling him Stanley. And it's interesting because it's because of Stanley Matthews, because that same year, Sir Stanley Matthews had come to Bermuda, and he had spoken at the prize presentation of the Junior Football League, and of course we had won the Junior Football League. So I was a coach. We had won the league. We had won every single game we played. We only had 2 goals scored against us in the whole season. It was an earned goal and a penalty.
Well,
That was the only goal scored against us that season. We whooped everybody. That was just a precursor to the Trojans.
And good evening to you, Mr. Hines. Take us through your first interaction with Campbell.
I came to Bermuda in '75 as a policeman. Campbell was a policeman. Unfortunately, they sent these paper people up to me to interview me about my cricketing ability in England. So I told them the truth, and the next thing I know, everybody was wanting to meet Mr. Hines, those that even wanted to cause him problems. But Campbell has always been there for me as an advisor, and that's what I respect about him. I mean, he was a hard captain. He was my first cup match captain, and our first cup match played down St. George's. And
Hines 70 what, 76?
77.
77 was your first year?
That was my first year. They didn't let me play in '76. They said I'd just come to the island. I was too new.
Oh, okay. Because I played in '77 as well. Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I played.
You played in '78. Oh,
I played in '77, Hines, and I happened to clear up about 6 wickets in '77 down in St. George's when Lionel Thomas made all those runs.
You played in that game? I couldn't remember. I
did. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thomas got
124. 124. 124.
I thought it was 157. I remember how many wickets. I remember how many.
154. Yeah.
Yeah, 154. I remember how many wickets the umpire, what was his name?
Oh yeah, he got a lot of LBWs.
He got an LBW. All these things going on. At the moment, Lionel Thomas says, "Hey, what's his name again, Luther?"
LBW Wilkin.
Wilkin. I promised not to say anything about anybody to my daughter. But once Somerset Fan came out there, and he came out to Luther, and I was standing right next to him, and he says to Luther, "Give me your hand." And he put a pen in Luther's hand and went like that. That's what you're worth. And I never forget. That was one of the highlights of my first cup match. But getting back to Campbell was the captain, and he said, "What's wrong with you, man? Why are you getting these people out?" I said, "Look, you're getting on my nerves, man. You want to bully me." And then I went back in there. He can inspire you in many different ways because people can say stuff to you to really get you reeled up, and that's exactly what they want. And I went in there. I think I did pretty well after that. But I don't remember you hoarding in that game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, how could you not?
You took a lot of sun that day. You guys took a lot of sun that day.
You must have had a lot of sun, huh?
You took some sun, yeah, but thanks to Luther.
Yeah.
Dennis?
Yeah.
In terms of Campbell and cricket, Campbell, we played together first in the league team. We were in the league team, Somerset's league team. And we played together in that. In fact, and I became I was captain of the league team. I think Campbell started in 1966. His first cup match was '66. I didn't play this year. That was the year I came back from England. And then I played in '67 with him. And Sheridan was the captain. Then the next year, in '68, I became the captain. I was captain in '68. And Campbell was still there. So I was, we played together, and of course we played in the league team together. And in '69, around '70, I think it was the year the Blades joined us. We, in fact, won the league. We won the league. Then we won the league again when Hines was playing with us. When Hines, you were with us in the late '70s when we won the league, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I started playing with you guys a year after I landed. I gave the police team one season, and then I went Somerset.
Right, that's right, yeah.
So that was...
That's the only police officers were getting Somerset.
Not necessarily so, no. they had to be qualified. We're talking
Okay.
about cricket. We're not talking about. In my country, we call it bat and ball. We're not talking bat and ball. We're talking about cricket.
Right,
And
right.
because the first when I came here in '66, was this no? Was it? No, it wasn't '66. 70. It was '75. I came.
75.
75, and I was playing with the police team, and I said, "This ain't for me." So after the game was, I had a Mr. Crockwell who wanted to put me back on the plane to England. I said, "Well, that's cool too." Yeah.
Dennis?
And,
Well,
but
Mr. Hoy, your first cup match was 1966, 1963.
My first cup match.
1970. My
No,
my
Horton.
first come out was 1977.
Okay. And Horton was 1963.
Yeah, my first cup match was 1963.
And you went to school and then came back and played in
I
66.
played in '63, and then I was away in England in school from '63 until '66. I came back and played again in '67 through '70, and then I went away when I was playing for the Cosmos. So I missed those full years, '70 to '75, and then I played again in the game that we're talking about, Heinz, in 1976.
That was 77. Yeah, down St. George. That was interesting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's when Sambu missed long time.
Yeah,
Miss something.
I remember. I almost cried, man.
Yeah.
I almost cried. Because the thing is, and then they were saying that the wicketkeeper had too much to do, so he didn't need to be the skipper as well, you know. So they picked Sambo to wicketkeep and Campbell to skipper, and it wasn't bad. Heck, Kenny, it wasn't that bad for us, right? But yeah, I enjoyed it, but we needed people like Campbell to be skipper. Then you came in, and you and I, we had our little brushes, you know. The year we went down in Somerset, you guys you picked as batsmen were bowling, and I'm asking you what's going on out there because hi James, yourself.
Who's that? I missed that.
I said the game we won in Somerset, the big game, the big 179. Me and Horton, we had our brushes because he had guys that were picked as batsmen and they were bowling. I ain't gonna call no names, but I said, you got Al James out here yourself, myself, and Coach Trot. We were picked as the bowlers. Now we need to bowl, and that's when he brought us back on. That's when we dumped St. George's, sent the whole St. George's team to the hospital after Eldon got hit. Lord, I'm so happy as well. But yeah, him and I had a little brush, and then he realized, yeah, you know what? We should be bowling.
Yeah.
And not Winston Reed and Joe Bailey. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, we are joined by Kenny Can Sr.
Okay, I'm back on.
Yeah, we got you, Mr. Horton. We got you.
Okay.
Mr. Can, good evening. Thank you for joining. Can you give us your first interaction with Campbell Simons?
My first interaction with Campbell goes back a long way. We all lived in the same neighborhood. We went swimming, we played cricket, we fished. We did all sorts of things that young men done during that time. I have an interesting story about Campbell. We were swimming at Harmon's Bay one day, and we all decided to swim out to a cruise ship that was docked in the Great Sound. When we got about 3/4 of the way, Campbell found a buoy. So he hung on to this buoy and told us, you keep going. So we ended up going towards the ship, and the captain sent one of the lifeboats up to pick us up. So he picked us up and went to the buoy, picked Campbell up, drove us around the boat, and showed us this huge shark that had followed the boat in.
Boy.
And they all drove us back to the beach.
When did you go?
Bet you didn't
When
try
did you
that
go
again.
swimming again, Kenny?
Next day,
Y'all been crazy there. Y'all been crazy there.
Yeah, yeah.
But didn't go far. I tell you that. You didn't go far, did you?
pardon?
You didn't go far, did you?
Oh, the next day, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we used to swim to Knight's Hill.
Oh,
We
used to
did a
swim
lot
out
of-
to swim out to the buoy a lot. Out to that
Yes,
buoy. Yeah.
yes.
Mm.
But
Well,
Campbell also lived in New York for a few years with his auntie. When he came back, he brought boxing gloves, and we used to box on his grandfather's porch every day.
okay. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about more about Campbell Simons. We'll be right back.
With perfect timing for the height of the summer, Greenhouse Bermuda brings us the island's newest iced tea, Newman's Own Organic Iced Tea in a kaleidoscope of delicious flavors. Most shoppers have seen Newman's Own in the condiment section, recognizable due to the founder's caricature prominently featured on the label, and many pick it up in the knowledge that 100% of the profit goes to registered charities. Newman's Own offers us a new refreshing thirst quencher, dry raspberry, lemon, peach, and passion fruit organic Newman's Own iced teas. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out.
Welcome back. Dennis?
Okay, Mr. Kale, good evening.
Good evening, Dennis.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Okay, so one of the things I read in this article, I was doing a little bit of research on this assignment, was in 1966. You, along with Campbell Simons, Reggie Tucker, Clyde Bass, and Rudolph Shorty Spencer, were named as coach for Somerset. What was that like to be with a childhood friend and to be a coach and cup match at the same time?
Well, it was wonderful for me because Campbell and I played with Villacots. We played in Colts Cup match. In fact, the whole group was except Shorty Spencer. We guys came right through the I guess you could call it, the ranks from junior to senior and to cup match.
And I also read in that article whereby in his first cup match, in the first innings he got a doctor, and in the second innings he got 43 not out. You remember that?
Yes. good job he got that 40 runs, because cup match may have been over by 10 o'clock on Friday.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-mm. We really had a weakened side at that time. There was something went on with the senior players of the club, and they decided not to play cup match, and we ended up with 6 Colts in the game. Some people weren't really expecting to play, but ended up having to play. But we gave it our best shot, and it wasn't good enough, really.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Horton, with Campbell behind the stumps, what was it? What kind of wicketkeep was he? Obviously, everybody has their strengths in whatever position they play in. But what was his strength behind the stumps?
Campbell was an outstanding wicketkeeper and made very few mistakes. Very few mistakes. And as a bowler, bowling to Campbell was absolutely supportive and helping to determine, how to bowl at a particular batsman. He knew the batsman who came in. He was a great help to the bowlers. And Hines would certainly attest to that too. That he was a great help to us as bowlers in terms of removing batsmen from he wasn't flashy like some wicketkeepers, but he was steady. He was the steadiest wicketkeeper that I know, and I always felt very comfortable and very happy when Campbell was behind the stumps.
Mm. And Mr. Hines, for you, obviously, you needed a target. What sort of target was he for you in when you were bowling?
Campbell wasn't only the wicketkeeper and the captain, but he was also the advisor. I remember getting 9 wickets for about 17 or 27 runs down at Western Stars. He was the captain that day, and he was behind the wicket. And basically, it was just a matter of me bowling, and he just wicket keeping, and anything I needed to know, he would tell me. And that's how I find him. He was an advisor, and when he gave you advice, he expects you to adhere to it and do what's requested. And that's what I like in a skipper. Horton as well. He was all right. He liked to be up in my face all the time.
Hines was my favorite player.
What's that?
No, I said Hines was my favorite player.
Not to worry, we still remember that picturesque moment at Wellington Oval. But back to Campbell, Dennis.
What's that?
Which one was that?
Mr. Marshall.
Oh, Charlie.
Oh, Charlie took a swipe at Hines.
Oh, you mean that?
That's for another day. Dennis.
Me and Mr. Bates didn't talk about that. I tell you, the honest truth is the only thing St. George's had to keep the St. George's fans at the field was because Charlie Marshall, in my opinion, was out a few times. And Mr. My umpire, the umpire that was. Forgot his name. He refused to give some of those decisions because there was
Wilkins.
nothing to begin. Huh? What's that you said?
Mr. Wilkins?
No,
Wilkins.
We're talking about my white. He was a policeman and he was a white man.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember
Gerard.
his name. He was a
Gerard.
great man. Garland or something like that.
Gerard.
Anyhow,
Garrett, wasn't it?
yeah,
Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I found was that on the second day, I'm getting some feedback.
Yeah.
On that day, really, St. George's had nothing to look forward to, but the fact that Charlie was there, he saved the game for them, right? And then it was only what was left was, let's see if he can get 100. And it was the last ball I had to bowl. And I saw, well, you want to hit me for 6, I'm going to bowl straight at the wicket to get you out because I want your wicket. And he swung and he connected. And that ball went so far. I was looking at it like it wasn't wrong. I'll be honest, I'm there. Woo! And every person in St. George's was on the field. And my captain said, "Why's your damn fool? Why didn't you bowl away?" My captain, Mr. Horde, why'd you bowl away?
Let me tell you, I think another thing about, when we get back to Campbell, I think another thing about Campbell was, in addition to being the outstanding wicketkeeper, he was also a first-class opening bat. And Kenny Can right there, Kenny Can right there will tell you, because he and Kenny Can used to open the innings, and we could always count on a good start. And you know, when you go back, it was 74, I think, Kenny, wasn't it, when you guys put on 130 odd for the first wicket?
Yes, 39. 139.
139 for the first wicket. And I mean, Kenny and Campbell were they were automatic when they were playing. They were automatic. I mean, you didn't have to think twice as to who the opening bats were going to be, and they were, you know, absolutely steady and wonderful batsmen.
But they went through the rough patch, wouldn't you say, Mr. Can? You went through the rough
Well,
patch.
they did. Oh yeah, no question about it. No question about it. But they, you know, they played well during that patch as well. Even though, I mean, yeah, it was a time when St. George's were dominating. You know, in the mid '60s, I guess. I missed a lot of it when I was in England. 64, 65, and 66 I missed. And I came back and caught a couple of years of it in 67 and 68. But yeah, St. George's were just, you know, they had a stronger team. But we had some good players too. And two of them, those two guys, Kenny Can and Campbell, were outstanding and could have played on any of the teams.
All right, Dennis, you're back in.
Yeah, I remember, you know, growing up in Somerset watching, because I grew up watching, you know, quality football and also quality cricket. I always remember, you know, Mr. Science and Mr. Kia, you know, going out to the wicket as opening batsman. And Mr. Horton still my question about 1974. But I'm gonna go there anyway, Mr. Kia. So you guys had a partnership of 139. I believe Parfitt was playing that day as well in 1974, and I think I vaguely remember, you know, you and Campbell taking a little part in that cup match. Do you remember that innings and, you know, what it was like?
Yes, well, I really didn't have much problems with Parfitt. Campbell had problems with him. Right. But I think Parfitt probably got me out once at cup match. But we were both determined type of people. I mean, you know, we knew we had to put a good score on that day. St. George's had already made 300.
Right, 390, I think they made, Kenny, yeah.
Strange, Campbell always took the first ball, but on that day, we were walking out, he says, "Red, it's your turn today." I'm taking the first ball. But, you know, we both decided that we were going to hang in there and score as many as we could. And I think if Campbell hadn't got run out, he would have made a century that day. He made one of the most beautiful cut shots you can see. And Noel Gibbons happened to be standing right on the boundary. The ball went so quickly to Noel, I had to send Campbell back, and he didn't make it. Noel threw in a bullet, and Dennis stumped him out. But the way he was batting, Campbell would have been there all day.
How many did you score that? Kenny? How many did you score
Pardon?
that day? How many did you score that day?
73.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's almost happened.
But Campbell and I scored many hundreds in the league. On tour, we toured the West Indies, and we played against the Rising Star cricket team in Antigua. At that time, they had Vivian Richards, Jeff Abbott. Some of you might remember Jeff Abbott. He played in Bermuda for a while, and we put on 100 against them. We had several league hundreds. I remember one game in St. I don't know if Randy played. We played against Hamilton Parish in St. George's. Campbell and I put on 115. Parfit took 8 wickets, and we only made 160, I think it was.
Whoa.
And
Yeah,
Shiraz Ali got 8 wickets against Hamilton Parish when they went to bat. They made 80 odd, I think it was. But
yeah. No, I don't think. I think that was when I hadn't gotten back to Bermuda yet.
Yeah, I don't think Hines was here yet
No, I
either.
wasn't around. I came in 75. Got
Yeah.
lucky.
But that's some of the games. You know, we, like you said, we had a good understanding batting. You know, we never called for a single. It was just a look. Quick look, quick move.
You guys were on the right same page. That young man over in the corner, Dennis Brown. When I went down to Somerset, he was still deciding what he needed to do, whether he wanted to be a footballer or cricketer, because he was a good little cricketer. He had everything going for him, and I was on his I was with him per se by saying I keep pushing him to play, and he chose not to play. But I remember him being I thought he could have been a better cricketer than footballer, but it was his choice. But he would tell you that. I sat him down a few times and encouraged him, and I wasn't good enough to convince him to play cricket.
No, Mr. Horton told me it was more girls in football than cricket. That's why I chose football.
Okay, I can understand that too. I can understand that. That was one of the things that attracted me to Bermuda, running around Somerset Field. I saw so much community spirit there.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. Not how much time, I'm talking about just in the evening. That was one of the places you could go. You see someone playing cricket over here. You saw the girls were playing softball over there. Everything was going on in Somerset Field during the summer when I came here, and that's what I like. So even before anybody from Somerset called me to play for Somerset, I'd basically been a Somerset person.
And one of the things, Hines, one of the things I took from you was discipline. One of the things you always talked about is the way you walk on the field, the way you dress. Your wipes had to be wiped. You know what I mean? And it came from the preparation, and you really showed me about being serious. Don't drop a catch from Hines, or don't misfield a ball from Hines. Hines will be on you, but in those days, that's what it was. The senior players challenge you, and it's not like it is today, whereby you challenge a player and these little young guys come back at you. Back in those days, you had to listen, and if you didn't listen, it was too bad. I took a lot from you.
I had some good youngsters down in Somerset. We had Perry Scott, and a few other nice youngsters coming through. Maybe was man damn. Yeah, but I like that because you remember, Dennis, that incident at the police field. I'm not gonna call any names and stuff like that. But you remember that incident when I had to send a player off the field?
We played against Police on concrete that day.
No, we played up Prospect, and then we had turf wickets then up at Prospect. And one of our Somerset players, he was asked if we could keep, and that became a problem for him, and he was doing it all year until I took over those few games, and he decided that he wanted not to do it. Why, I don't know, because when he took the gloves off, he said to me, "Where do you want me to feel?" I said, "Well, if you can't feel in gloves, if you can't keep in gloves, where you going to feel out here? There ain't no place out here for you to feel, because if the ball comes, it's going to hit your hand." So I just go up on the hill and cuss me with the other. They were cussing me.
That's right here, being right.
Right.
Well, we do have a question. We do have a question. The question is, do either of you remember Campbell playing silly middle and getting hit in the face?
Playing what? I didn't
No,
hear
I
that.
don't remember that.
What was that?
I don't remember that. No.
Do either of you remember Campbell playing silly middle and getting hit in the face? Well, Cynthia, if you can, if you remember, can you indicate where it was, the field, and possibly the year, or against whom, and maybe we can reflect on that. But what we're going to do, we're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have more about Campbell Simons. We'll be right back.
Nuco is a company impressively dedicated to the production of coconut concoctions. Their motto is coconuts for life, and however that resonates, it seems to have done the trick for vegan snack lovers. Nuco uses 3 ingredients in their wraps: pure organic and GMO-free coconut meat, coconut water, and unrefined virgin coconut oil. Nuco extols them as the all-natural alternative to bread and tortillas. This month we're featuring gluten-free Nuco organic coconut wraps in a 5-pack. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. I'm still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Cynthia has, you just bring Mr. Horton back in. Cynthia has updated. She says it was in St. George, but can't remember the year. So obviously it would have been a year that he was not behind the stumps. But let me ask you, Mr. Can, when did Campbell start showing the leadership qualities to become a captain?
I think Campbell always had that tendency by his approach to the game, the way he encouraged other people. I always thought he could be a captain. He just had that captain demeanor, I guess you could call it.
Hold on a second, Mr. Horton. Hold on a second. Go ahead.
I certainly
Yeah,
can
Mr.
say
Horton.
that. Yeah, I said, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. No, I was saying, as Kenny said, that Campbell definitely had the abilities to be a good captain, and it came from just us playing. When we used to play around, in the yard, around Somerset, and Campbell always had, as Hines mentioned, always had advice to give to people in terms of how the game should be played, how we should get someone out. where people should be fielding. I mean, he was always there. And the other thing is that wicket keepers too. Good wicket keepers usually could be good captains. Should be able to be good captains. They watch every ball. They watch everything that's going on.
Well, let me ask you, Mr. Horton. So what type of leader was he? Everybody has a style as a leader. What type of leader was Campbell?
Well, Campbell was a firm. He was a very firm leader. He didn't take any nonsense when he led. He was always to the point. He didn't beat around the bush in terms of what he wanted. And he was, he was dependable. No surprises came from Campbell. He was always very, very steady in the way he approached the game, the way he played on the field. He was just a very steady individual. Great guy to play with.
And Mr. Hines, for you, with Campbell also being a police officer, so you had these two things in common, playing for Somerset and working together. What was that relationship like, both on and off the field, as officers and cricketers?
Campbell was a very caring, jovial, and straight to the point person. He would put what he's into different sections, right? On the job, that's on the job. He did what he had to do. At Somerset, he did what he had to do. When we were in the bar or something jovial, we can laugh and talk about ourselves, and we would even argue there, because some things he don't remember that I remember, and vice versa. You understand? The last time I saw Campbell live was about 2 or 3, probably 2018. You know that little restaurant at the corner of Victoria Street?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Park? We met in there for a few mornings, and he had a lot of retirees there as well. Guys from the fire department.
Yes.
Morris was in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked, and we had so much fun. And that's how I'm going to remember Campbell, having fun in that little restaurant, more so than any place else.
Mm-hmm. Dennis?
Yeah, so as a grown person, when I had my little differences on the police department, he would advise me as best he can as to what's best for me. It didn't all work out, but I thank him for that. He's one of the gentlemen I would always remember.
Okay. Dennis?
Yeah, it's ironic that you heard Mr. Ken and Horton talk about when they were growing up, playing like backyard cricket. I always talk about that, growing up in Somerset, whereby the older guys would be out on the field of Somerset Cricket Club, and we had our own little mini cup match. As soon as you come in Somerset Cricket Club on the left, the patio, then we had a lot of cricket there, while the main game was going on, and that's where we learned a lot of our strokes. If you hit the ball over the wall, you're out, so that shows you're straight and stuff like that. And that's what's missing today. Backyard cricket, backyard football. These guys, really don't know what they're missing. That's where you learn a lot of your skills. So I'm gonna take Mr. Horton back to Horton again.
Just dropped the.
Okay. So is that coming back?
Well, good to Mr. Ken or Mr. Hines. When he comes back, I'll bring him right back in.
Okay, so Mr. Ken, what is your fondest memory of when you, outside of the cup match opening partnership of 139, what is your fondest memory of Campbell betting with Mr. Simons, and how did you guys really communicate with each other? How was the communication between bills and stuff like that?
Campbell was a very thoughtful person. He paid attention to details. Even when we were betting, if I was doing something wrong, he'll walk down and we'll discuss it and correct it. And he was always a guy to give good advice. The other thing about Campbell, he was a very sharp card player. I don't know if
Yes.
he liked his euchre, his whist, and rummy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got in a game with him, you had trouble. He started things that he was involved in. He didn't just partake in something. He really started it. He started his cards. He started his cricket. We haven't talked about his football, but he was also a good football player.
Yeah, Horton mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. And he loved his billiards.
He loves billiards. That came from the way we used to socialize. We would train soccer all week, and on Saturdays, the club had 2 billiard tables, had 2 ping pong tables upstairs, and a card room. So you started in the billiard room, and the winner stayed on.
Yes.
You left the billiard room if you lost, and you went up top played ping pong. And the winner stayed on. If you lost that, you came in the card room and you played cards. If you lost that, you had to go home.
All right, Dennis, you have a question for Mr. Horton?
Yes, Mr. Horton.
That's an important point, because I think, what Kenny's saying there is that that's the reason why we had the kind of camaraderie that we had in our team.
Yes.
Because we hung out, we did a lot of things other than on the field together. And so, as I said, playing cards and table tennis and billiards. I mean, we all wanted to beat up on each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mr. Horton, take us back to 1978. Take us back to 1978. Mr. Simons' last cup match, he made 111.
Yeah,
that's right. That 10th wicket partnership was 87 between you and Mr. Simons. Take us back to that. That game was at Somerset. If we would have lost, the game would have had to go back down St. George's.
Right, just like we were in trouble. We were in trouble, and in fact, I was hoping that I wouldn't have to bat, I got hit on. Oh, Hines, you had to do with me mashing up my toe, didn't you? Didn't you have something to do with that?
What?
My toe. When I remember at that cup match, I broke my toe. Was it because
you were injured?
Okay. Or something? We had taken a catch in the slips and were jumping up, and I think somebody landed on my foot.
Oh, well, that's probably Big Al. Big Al was about to break your toe. You know what our slips were? You, Big Al, John Tucker.
Right.
But we guys knew where they had to go when we played. When we were great.
Absolutely, there was no question. No question. When we went on the field, everybody knew where to go. Yeah.
Sad Brown, why Sad Brown?
I
can't hear you, Horton. Speak now.
Campbell and I went in, I think it was 9 when 9 were out. And there were 9 people out. Once 9 people were out, then I came in, and I had been to the hospital. I went to the hospital I got a shot. I got a shot at the hospital. and then I came back, and then I had to go in. And when I went in, and what happened, which was interesting, because I mean, Parfit was there, and Parfit had been through a lot of the team, but Campbell was just so steady as a rock. And then how I managed to stay there, hey, the good Lord was on my side that day, and I can tell you that it's probably the best I've ever betted in cup match, and the thing is, what helped me a lot was that Parfit. In fact, Parfit helped me because Parfit bowled to my legs. He didn't make me move my feet, which made it easier for me. I didn't have to move too much. He was bowling towards my pads, and I just played the ball off my pads and hung on until we had enough runs whereby the match would be drawn, and we went to the next year. The game stayed in Somerset, and 79. Heinz will tell you about that 79, which we won.
But I tell you, I haven't heard anything mentioned about Barry Dakuda, but I tell you, he was the best ever wicket keeper I've seen in Bermuda. And talk about helping bowlers. That man, when I was bowling, he stood up to the wicket. That was danger, absolute danger. Right, Mr. Horton?
I tell people all the time that when I consider wicket keepers, if I think of the best wicket keepers, obviously I think of Dennis Wainwright and Barry. But as I said earlier, Campbell was the absolutely steady wicket keeper. I don't ever remember Campbell dropping a catch. I don't ever remember Campbell making mistakes behind the stumps. All I can remember is him helping me. The many wickets that I got, he was a part of the reason why I got many of them.
Dennis, you want to end it?
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having these guys on. Mr. Cam was on earlier before Gordon. And then Gordon's got the record now for the third time. It's always a pleasure having these guys on, and it's nice to interact with Heinz. I haven't talked to Heinz for many years, and it just brings back so many good memories. Talking to us. It's been a pleasure. It's been a beautiful pleasure.
Well, I want to say to you gentlemen as well, thank you very much. And to the family and friends of Mr. Campbell Simons, may he rest in peace and God be with you all. Good night.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
To Judy.
All right, guys.
Certainly to Judy Simons, wish her